Well, good morning, everyone. I am trying to get all of my, oh, that's not mine. I'm trying to get like all of my videos and everything recorded. I gotta grab the whole thing now. Oh, just so I can get my coffee, wherever it is. Because I don't like it. That would be a lie. Anywho, I'm trying to get my videos done like in the morning. That way I can kind of I can record it quickly and then I can upload them. And I've been doing something a little bit different with my videos, which is kind of why they're not being posted at like the same time every day. I heard one of the bigger creators on here. I listened to one of their videos and I was like, oh, well, I'll try that. So that's what I'm trying to do. So yeah. But anyhow, not only am I trying to hurry up and get it done so I can kind of get it out of the way. So one, I don't have to worry about it. Two, a little bit later on today, it's like 7:30 right now, almost 7:30. I'm gonna have to make a trip down to our landlord's house. After we got home yesterday from my mom's, I had some issues. Actually, the issue started while I was at my mom's. I got a notification from our camera at the very back of the house, and I kid you not, it literally looked like the tip of someone's finger going right in front of our camera. Now, the only way to get up there, or to even be anywhere near that and the camera that's at the front, is you have to get a ladder. So I don't know. It didn't look like a beak, because it didn't look pointy. It looked rounded like the tip of your finger, and like you could see about, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to use, it's a habit for me, not in like a bad way. When it comes to like pointing to stuff, I've always done that. I don't know, I try not to do that, and Caleb does it too. But like, it literally looked like this much of someone's finger, but it was oh so quickly to where the camera turned on and didn't really have time to focus correctly before it went away. So we're not exactly sure what it was. I called my landlord and I told her that something was by our camera. We weren't sure what it was, and that I was at home. It took her about 30 minutes or longer to actually get here to actually do it. She lives right over there, but I'm guessing that she might have still been in the bed, or she might not have been feeling good, might have just gotten out of the shower. I'm not sure, but it just took her a while to get over here. So if by some chance somebody was on top of our house, they were long gone by the time she got here. So anyhow, after I got home, I was getting on to Caleb because Caleb did something and I was getting on to him. Then my phone started blowing up again. So I was looking at my phone and I got several notifications from our back camera. Then I got a couple of notifications from our one here at the door. Then I got a couple from the one at the front. So we get the notifications as they happen. So since we got the one in the shed first, or the one in the back, that one got triggered first. So, you know. So when I looked, I saw a young girl, preteen-ish age. And I'm like, who is that? And she is like right next to, like, she's at the edge of the camera frame. And I'm like, okay, maybe she's lost a dog or something. Well, then I end up looking at the one from the door, and I saw a boy and her. And they're literally right here by the door. Like when it started, you could see like the boy's arm, because he wasn't on this side, he was on that side of the door. And this is the side I'm going to turn y'all a little bit so y'all can, sorry. So the camera is on this side of the door. Okay, because it's down there. So he was standing over here by our window, right? And because you could see his arm, and he's standing there. And then he walks this way, and he like gets right by the door, stands there for a couple seconds, and then they both walk away. Well, then that's when they walk away, that's when they trigger this one. And again, they're at the very bottom of the frame, which means they're right up against the house walking, which is weird. That one, I guess, not technically so weird, because what they did is they just walked and they just turned. It's not like they would walk out a ways before they turned. So that one, yeah, I don't really want people back there. There's no reason for no one to be back there unless it's one of us, our landlord, or if they're doing something with the grass or spraying for bugs or something. Like, that's the only time anyone needs to be back there. And that's coming from our landlord. So I went up to our landlord and, you know, I was like, do you recognize these kids? And she's like, I think that belongs to this house over here. And I was like, okay. And I was like, okay. Well, she's like, and, you know, I told her what happened, and she's like, they had no right to be. She's like, I mean, front door, okay. Your front camera, okay. She says, but there's no reason that they ought to be back there at the back. She's like, because you would think that they would walk in the front first, and then trigger this one, and then maybe possibly trigger the back one. But it was opposite. She's like, why would anybody be back there, especially back there first? Like, I don't know. So what they did is they walked from that direction and came over here by like the slide, and then walked around the back of the house to the front. So I don't know why. Well, I do know. I kind of cut it off right there. I wasn't trying to cut myself off in mid-sentence. But at the time, I didn't know why. So that's why I went to my landlord. And I ended up going to that house and asking. Well, I got answered. And I'm guessing he was dad. He looked kind of young. Like, well, I guess I really shouldn't say young. He looked like to be my age. So, anyhow, he confirmed that those kids belonged to that house. And I was like, you know, and then the little boy, he's not a little boy. They're both like pre-teen-ish years. You know, between 11 and even 13, 14 years old. And this boy, he walks up behind his dad. I'm guessing dad. And he's literally wearing nothing but his underwear. Or his underclothes, if you will. And so, like, I'm grabbing Elena and I'm kind of putting her behind me because I don't want her seeing an older one. We're already trying to teach our kids modesty. You know, Caleb, if you go outside, make sure you have on shorts. If you don't want to wear a shirt, that's fine. But if we go somewhere, you have to be fully clothed. Don't be, you know, messing with yourself inappropriately. You know, because he has a tendency to do that. And he's just realizing now. Like, he's starting to understand the difference between people's bodies. And Alliance says it's normal. And probably for his age, it probably is. I don't know. But, you know, I'm you know, trying to teach Caleb. You don't walk around the house with no clothes on. If you go to the bathroom, you make sure that everything is pulled back up before you walk out. You know, if Elena, I said it's a little bit harder with Elena because she's still young. If she gets out of the shower, she wants to bolt. Okay, well, Bubba, if Cece's taking a shower and you know that, and you've like heard or you hear her running around and you don't think she's dressed yet, stay in your room, you know. And Cece, don't be coming at the bathroom, you know, without a towel around you or with clothes on. You know, like, I'm already trying to teach them that. You know, trying to teach them to stay covered. Don't be showing their body parts off to other people. It doesn't matter if it's your brother or your sister, you don't show nobody. You know, you keep it to yourself. I'm trying to start it at an early age, okay? So sue me. Anywho, so I'm trying to hide Elena behind me for that fact. Because I don't want her seeing a 13 or 14-year-old boy in his underwear. Just saying. I don't want to see that. And so anyhow, the dad, again, he confirms that it was them. And the little boy was like, yeah, we were going around to everyone's houses, seeing if we could wash their cars for like $10. And I told him, I said, okay, that's fine. I said, but you triggered all 3 of my cameras. I said, and no one should have, I said, the one at the back never gets triggered unless they're mowing the grass. I said, because nobody needs to be back there. I said, there's just literally no reason for anyone to be at the back end of our house. I said, and y'all triggered that one first, which means y'all came from the back. Y'all walked around my house. I said, and there's literally no reason for that. Y'all could have just came through the front. Triggered 2 of them. And I said, not only that, I said, I have video of you not even knocking on my door. You look at my door and then you turn around and walk away. I said, so you didn't even ask. You didn't even knock and ask. I said, I know you heard me. I said, the camera picks me up talking. Because, I mean, RV, it's thin. And it does. If the doorbell camera is triggered, any noise that's going on inside the house, even just me talking like this, it will catch. Because it's so thin, and the speaker on the thing is amazing. So, like, it picks up really good. I said, so in my video, like, you can, in the recording, you can hear me talking. So, 1, there's 2 vehicles there. 2, you can hear me talking. You knew someone was home. So why didn't you knock? It sounded like you were busy. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, again, I was like, I don't mind you coming and knocking on my door and asking me questions like that. I said, I don't. I said, but what I do mind is I don't want anyone back there at the back. And of course the dad asked why. Well, why not? I said, there's things back there that they could possibly get hurt on. Well, why would you have something? I said, sir, that's my business. I said, but the thing is the fact of, even the landlord said that no one should be back there unless it's one of us, herself, or the people that's there to spray for bugs or weeds, and the people that mow the yard. Said no one should be back there. You know, especially considering our door is at the front. Now, if our door was at the back, that would be different. Then they could be walking around the front, and they would have to walk to the back, to the door. Like the RV that's beside us, his door is at the back. So, like, you have to walk the length of his RV to get to his door. Some of them are like that. I said, but ours is in the front. There's no reason to be back there. But considering that one tripped first, they specifically walked behind the house because they triggered that one first. I said, I don't want people back there. I don't. I said, and he's like, oh, well. And I said, I didn't even know who these kids belong to. I said, because we've had kids here before walking around, messing with, you know, people's stuff, and they didn't even live here. I said, so, I said, I've already let Miss Carrie know. I said, and she was the one that said that she thought that they belonged here. You know, I was like, I wanted to make sure that these kids actually belonged to someone. But, you know, I said, I have 3 cameras, and y'all tripped every last one of them. I said, and I'm about to get another one. I said, so y'all gonna end up getting on every last one of them if y'all do that again. And I do. I want to get another one and put it on that side and have it pointed that way. To where if someone is, and I think I've said it before in a video, if someone like messes with like the electrical box or the water hose and stuff like that, the spigot and stuff, like we can see that. Just like, you know, here back recently when the electrical box caught fire, if we would have had a camera pointed this direction, that we would have caught that on camera, and we would have caught it a lot sooner than what we did. Like, that would have triggered instantly all the smoke and everything. That would have triggered the camera. Then we could have instantly called our landlord and said, hey, it's smoking. Well, then we probably would have caught it while it was smoking, and, you know, the smoking, not the actual bursting into flames. So we've also had kids that have lived here, and they would crawl underneath the slide and try to hide from people. And I don't want people getting up underneath there. They're going to end up getting hurt. We have had, when you open up your storage lids, covers, doors on the outside, there's these little clips it looks like random clips, but when you open up the door, it's supposed to clip, that way it holds the door in place, that way you can do whatever you're doing. The one on that side, the very front, it's broken because kids were coming over here and they were playing with it and they broke it off. And our landlord had to end up asking that family to leave because we were not the only people that they were messing with their stuff and breaking stuff. We own this one, so there's not much we really could have done unless we like try to take them to like court or something, which is completely dumb. But they were, at the time, all of the RVs that were here, minus this one, was all hers. So not only did they break something of ours, they broke stuff of hers on some of her RVs. And so she ended up asking them to move. And she told me yesterday that they were getting pretty good bit of stripes. They broke one of her washers and one of her dryers because they filled the washer machine up so full to where it literally burnt the motor out. Because it was so full, and so heavy, it couldn't turn. It literally blew up the motor. Same thing with the dryer. Because the dryer was so jam-packed of clothes, it would do like 1 or 2 tumbles, and the clothes would actually push the door open. And it literally, they kept doing it. They kept pushing the clothes in there, and was like standing in front of the door, holding the door shut so it would try to tumble without, and it ended up burning it up. And so, and they live in an actual, like, a double wide trailer. And so the rules is that if you live inside of like an actual like manufactured home or double wide trailer, single wide trailer, you have your own washer and dryer. And we know that there's a washer and dryer in this home because the original, or the lady that brought it here was an elderly lady, and she ended up selling it fully furnished to the family that lives there now, because she wanted to move out of town to be with I think her kids, and so she didn't want to take nothing with her since she was going out of state. She sold the house, she sold everything in it, and so we know that there's a washer and dryer in there, but they specifically were using, which for me it sounds completely weird, because if you have your own washer and dryer, why are you going to spend money on, honestly, I mean, and the one that was doing it wasn't even a parent. It wasn't the boy that was over here. It was one of the other ones. It was one of the other ones, because there's like 5 or 6 kids that I know of that live in this house. And he kept asking me, like, he asked me because I was over there, and he was like, I don't know why it keeps popping the door open. I was like, well, honey, because you got too much stuff in there. It can't turn. Well, how do I fix this? I said, you just gonna have to half the clothes. You know, you're gonna have to take a lot of them out, And you're going to have to do either 2 to 3 little cycles here. I don't have any more money, man. My mama's going to be mad at me. I was like, I mean, honey, I understand, but, I mean, and like, he acted like he was like wanting to ask me if he could borrow some quarters. I wasn't going to, because, and I felt sorry for the baby, but he shouldn't have been ever doing it. His mama or his daddy or one of the older siblings should have been doing it. Now, he's old enough to where he should have realized, but, you know, so, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, my Lord, if there's, you know, 5, 6 kids plus adults, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of clothes. Well, you just gonna have to divvy it up, honey. You can't do it all at once. And that's what he was trying to do. He didn't realize, even though he was at that age to where he should have realized, but mama or daddy or somebody told him to go do it without explaining to him really how to do it. Like, you have to teach them. You can't just say, oh, go do laundry, and expect them to know how to do it. You got to show them. You got to teach them. And so, anyhow, so they got a strike for that from the landlord. And she told me yesterday, because she's like, if that is them, she's like, my patience is wearing thin with them. She's like, I'm constantly having to deal with them. She's like, if they keep this up, I'm going to end up asking them to leave. She's like, I'm not putting up with this junk. And I was like, yeah, I can see that, you know. I was the one that told her about the washer and dryer, you know. And I wasn't trying to get anyone in trouble. I didn't even know who the child belonged to, because he was there by himself. There wasn't a car, because, I mean, he's young. He's not old enough to drive yet. And so I was, you know, I was like, look, there's this kid. This is what he looks like. I don't know where he belongs to. You know, I said, honestly, I didn't think that any of the RVs here had kids, except for myself and one other person that is here temporarily. But they have little ones. They only have 2. And the boy is around the same age as Caleb. The other one's like little. Like, she's barely walking. And so I was like, I didn't think that anyone had kids, except for us 2. And 1, that baby ain't old enough. And 2, they are of a different nationality. I think they're Mexican, I believe. But they're of some type of Spanish, Latino descent. You know, I mean, 1, you can just look at them and tell. And 2, when she's outside with the little girl, when we were like doing like the bus drop off and stuff, and we were all out there together, she was waiting for the little boy. Like, she was over there talking Spanish to the little girl. So, like, I mean, you know, I wasn't trying to be rude or anything, you know. And so I was telling her, I was like, you know, they're Spanish descent. They're not white. You know, this was a white boy with blonde hair. Like, I mean, I knew they didn't belong to them. And so she's like, oh no. And while we were talking, he ended up walking out of the house. And I was like, well, that's him right there. She's like, I had a feeling he was from over there. So, yeah. So we had all that issue yesterday. And then the laundry was a couple of weeks ago. Well, last night about 10 or after, I hear a bunch of loud noises. And I'm like a lot of yelling and hollering, hooping and hollering. And I'm like, oh great, this is going to be a long night. And I thought it was our neighbors from across from us. What's this up? I thought it was our neighbors from across from us. They're young. They're like in their early 20s. And so, like, they have friends over and they'll sit outside while they're grilling, and they drink. So, you know, they might get a little tipsy, a little drunk. Stop playing with the cup. Ever. So, anyhow, they've done it before, and they get a little loud, you know. So I didn't think nothing until my camera tripped. And then when I looked at it, there was like 5 or 6 of these kids that they were walking around, but instead of walking and going around the bend, they walked in front of our house and then turned in like they were about to come to our front door. And like, there's no reason for that. There's enough room. It's not like there's a lot. There's room. Like, they were literally almost to our bedroom window, because, you know, they were turning in. When they tripped the camera, the security light came on, because of course it was dark, so the light, it lit up, the light came on, the picture turned color, because that's the setting I have it on. The second that the light turns on, they all look up, see the camera, they all turn around and start running. There's one girl that grabs another one. She grabs her, turns her around, and pushes her, and she's like looking back like, oh God, keep going, keep going. Like, hold on, sorry. So anyhow, I don't remember what I was saying now. But anyhow, like, when everything like lit up, like, they all scattered. They all turned around and they're like, oh crap. And like, they all start like walking very fastly away. You got this other little girl. She, like, because she had her back to the camera. Another girl was like facing the camera. So she turned around, she looked, she saw it, she grabbed the girl, she turned her and like was pushing her. It's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And like, she was like, kept turning around looking at the camera. And so like, one of them was practically over there by a Lions truck. Like, if he wanted to, he could have reached up and grabbed the bed of a Lions truck. Well, all of this area is ours. You know, by talking with the landlord and with cops many years ago when I lived at a different park, you know, we rent this space. This is ours. It's just like renting a house. That property is yours. Now, ours is a little bit different because we have a lot of like yard, not a lot, but we have yard in front of ours and in the back. You know, you know, it's not like we rent that whole entire area, you know, but for the most part, people don't come over here. Now, we've had kids that, like, years ago, we would have kids that lived in RVs. They were younger kids. There's not a lot of room to play, especially when there's, you know, RV on top of RV. So, like, the dad would bring them over here, and he would kick the soccer ball and stuff with them, which is fine. I don't mind that. Just, you know, be careful and don't kick it too hard. And I don't know if I was recording at this point in time, but there was a guy that lived right beside us. It's an older guy, had a teenage son, like an older teenage, like middle to like 17 years old. They would get out here and they would play basketball and baseball, and they didn't care if they hit our RV or not. They would throw the baseball, and if they hit us, oh well. They didn't care, because I called them out on it because I heard it, and I went outside and I was like, what in the world's going on? Oh, that was me. We were throwing around the baseball. And I'm like, okay, well, can you be a little more careful, because this is not one of the landlord's RVs. This is ours, and we can't afford to fix a window if you bust it. It's aight. No, it's not aight. Ooh, no, it's not. This is not your house. Have respect for it. And so, like, that's my thing. Like, it's not yours. Have respect for it. You know, it goes with anything. Like, if it's hers, respect it, because you rent it from her. You know, same thing with the laundromat. Have respect for it. It belongs to her. She's trying to do something nice for those of us that live here that don't have room for a washer and dryer. you know. You know, and they should not be walking around and being nosy and walking around our stuff, you know. That's just the way I see it, you know. And they were just, in my opinion, they were a little bit too close to my house. I did not like it, especially, I could overlook all the stuff that happened earlier on in the day, like with them actually triggering all three of them. I could overlook that if they hadn't come back later at night when it was dark and was acting like they were going to do it again. That I'm not going to overlook. So I already told Align that I'm going to go and I'm going to actually show video to the landlord of them acting like they were going to come this way until the camera lit up and they got spooked. And then they decided to run away. And then I'm going to go from there. If our landlord wants to talk to them and say, look, I've seen video, stay away from these houses. Do not go and be knocking on no one's doors or whatever it is that she wants to say. If she wants to handle it, then that's fine. I'll send it to her if she wants it. Whatever. Because I have all 4 clips downloaded. And if she wants to handle it, then fine. If she wants me to handle it, I particularly do not want to handle it. But although I really don't think it's going to be any good for me to do anything about it, because obviously when I was talking to Dad yesterday, he acted like it was no big deal. Ooh, okay, well, okay, so they were over there. So what a trip to what to do? Like, he acted like he really didn't care less. Like, he could honestly care less about the fact that we don't want them over here. You know, like, he acted like he didn't care. So me going over there is not really gonna say, it's not going to accomplish anything, I don't think. So, but if she does end up wanting me to do it, then what I'm going to end up doing is I'm probably going to wait until a little bit later on in the afternoon when Align is here, so he can stay with the kids, because I don't want to take them back over there and have them be kind of like involved and kind of watch it or whatever. So, you know, and Align took the truck this morning because the truck is still acting up. It was doing okay yesterday, but then later on, after you know, on our way home, it almost died on me, because it didn't want to shift and it ended up misfiring. So Align took it to work today to see if it would do it again, because he was test driving it yesterday afternoon after he got home and nothing. So he actually drove it. I just got a text saying, I'm here, and it did it again. So he's gonna have to look at that. So I don't have a car. Well, technically I could use his truck, but I don't want to leave them in the truck while I talk to the parents about them keeping their kids away from my house. I don't particularly want to do that. So I'm thinking about waiting until Align gets home so he can actually stay inside the house with them, and I just go up there by myself and just be like, look, I don't want your kids near my house. Y'all two stay away from my house. You know, I have cameras, and the next time that you trigger one of my cameras, minus the front one, because that one's a little bit different. But if my front door or the shed is triggered, they're too close to my house. The shed, no one should be back there. They're at the very front, and there's like 2 double wide trailer spots open before the next trailer is beside them. So they have a huge area that they can go run and play. They don't have to come all the way over here to this teeny tiny little grassy spot to play. Like, no. If anything, I need to take my kids up over there and play, because there's more room to play. And there's a tree that we can sit under for shade. So, like, there's no reason for them to be over here in this corner. There's really not. And the cows haven't been over here in several weeks. So, because they're doing some work back there. And so, they're not letting the cows come right here just yet, because they don't want them to get spooked from all of the them cutting the trees and all the bulldozers and stuff like that. So like there's no reason for anybody to be over here. Normally if somebody comes over here and they walk and they're like walking the fence line, it's normally because they're looking at the cows. Sorry, I got a notification that there was movement at the front door, which would be weird if that one goes off by itself. Normally that is just like maybe the trees are moving or a bird or a bug or something. But it has happened to where because if they move so quickly in the front or they're too far over, like they're like up against the RV walking, then it's not always going to catch them. Or if they move just too fast, it might not entirely catch them. But you got to be going fast for that to happen. So, because of all that stuff yesterday, they've just got me really, really uneasy. I'm just really uneasy. So, like, every single time, like, I'm about to heat up my coffee. I made it, and it's already gotten cold. I'm about to heat up my coffee, and I'm going to open up every last one of the blinds, so I can have like almost like a 360 view. And there's not much that I'm going to do today. So for the most part, I'm probably just going to be sitting in here, either at the table or on the couch, so I can look out all of these windows right here and be able to see from either direction. Whether they're coming from this way or that way, I will be able to see. Because I am now officially done. Like I said, I could overlook all that stuff earlier on, but after last night, and even after I talked to the parent, and they still didn't care, and they still did not relay the message to the kids, hey, don't be going over there. Like, come on, like, have some respect. Okay, I mean, just stop. No, they're still, if that camera hadn't lit up, they would have kept walking that way. Because that's where they were going. Like, they were full force. Like, they were going. They knew where they were going. And they didn't care. And in the audio, I don't know what they were talking about. But one kid actually turned around and was walking backwards. He's like, I don't know. Why are we even arguing about this? Let's just go do it. So, could have been about something totally random. But, and it wasn't the one that was here. It was one of the other little boys. And these are all up older kids. Like, they're not little like Caleb and Elaine. You know, they're like at least 7 years of age or older. And that's old enough to understand. Stay away from people's houses. Don't be going and bugging. You know, we're a little bit too close. We might need to back up. You know. But I don't blame the kids. I blame the parents. So, anyhow. With that being said, we are off. I'm going to drink my coffee, and I'm going to start uploading my videos to everywhere that they need to be uploaded. And then I'm just going to sit here and just chillax for today. So, with that being said, we are off. We will see you guys next time. We love you guys. Thank y'all for listening to me ramble.